Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
It is now time to introduce our main speaker for tonight, Victoria.
My name is Victoria, and I'm an alcoholic. Thank you, Jeff. Where are you? Oh, I love that. Good kung fu, really? There you are. I want to thank you so much, Jeff, for asking me to come out and participate in my own recovery. Thank you for inviting me to come out and be an example of the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. I am sober by the grace of God and the principles of Alcoholics Anonymous. And if you're new and you wonder what that means, it's just a condensed way of saying that I worked the 12 steps many times. And that I have a sponsor and had one from the first time someone asked me to get one. I was standing in a meeting and they said, "Do you have a sponsor yet?" And I was like, no, I didn't even know what it meant. They said, "You need to get a sponsor before you leave this meeting." And I looked over to this woman who sat next to me, who hugged me every single week that I went to this meeting, who I couldn't stand. I wanted to punch her in the face because I couldn't stand that she would hug me without my permission. I think there are codes in life. If someone walks up to you, we all learn these in school, in like kindergarten. We all know the code. If you come walking towards me and I go like this, it means I don't want to be bothered. If you start talking and I drift another way, it means I'm not listening. I'm not interested. And should I give you my back, it means go away. I did all those things with her, and she would not leave. And every single week that I would come back to that meeting, she would grab me in this robust hug and just hold me. And what happened eventually was that in one day, in one of those hugs, I stopped fighting. Initially, I would stay like this, just like this. And I would curse her, and I wished that she'd let me go. And then somehow it just slowly transformed into, I can't wait till I see that woman. Then it transformed into, I can't wait till she wraps her arms around me. And then it was just like, please don't let me go. And I would just drop my head into her shoulder and weep. I was a crybaby. I came in and I cried, oh my God, like a little 9-year-old girl running from a spider. I cried at everything. For the people here, Rustin, Carrie, there are people here who know. I mean, I opened my mouth and I started crying. Why? Because I couldn't function without alcohol and drugs. Someone took my medicine away. That's why. I had no coping skills whatsoever. I didn't know what it was like to speak. Speak not this, like walk out in the world and say, hello, how are you? What are you doing today? How is your life going? Do you need anything? I need something. I had no idea. And I had no clue that you stay to listen when you ask those questions, that you stay and listen to what they say. But I had no coping skills whatsoever. I drank from the gate. I was a baby who had booze in womb. And then I had booze in the bottle. Then I had booze for my teething. I had booze for everything. And then when I was old enough to see my family members at get-togethers, when I was a kid, I took booze out of the glasses on the table. And, I still have today the fluid in the glass disease. I don't care if it's like water. We're leaving a building. I have to drink all the fluid in the glass. I hate leaving the fluid in the glass. So I am a little bit of I jumble about. So what I know mostly about other alcoholics is that we all jumble about. So you'll come with me, and if you get lost, it's okay. And if I confuse you, please feel free to ask me questions later if I misrepresented something really key and crucial to your recovery tonight. When I was brand new, they told me a few simple things. First, we share what we were like, what happened, and what we are like now. Not what it was like. We all know what it was like, and who gives a shit, and what tools are there, and what it was like. We share what we were like, what happened, and what we are like now. We share experience, strength, and hope. Not misery, weakness, and malaise. We share experience, strength, and hope. And I'm going to do my best to try to stick to that, but I will bounce around for sure. When I came in, I want to start because it's really important. I'm going to just give you quickly some of the things that kept me sober, because I don't want to jack up and then not have enough time. What kept me sober is that I didn't know it was optional to do the things that people told me to do. I never thought when someone said, you know, you need some commitments, I didn't think that it was like, oh, I could or could not, I don't feel like it. I went and got commitments. I mean, right away, like right away. And, you know, the thing with the sponsor, they told me to get a sponsor, and then the sponsor would tell me shit, and I would just do it. You know, when I was brand new, I tried to score heroin in the first week of my recovery because I didn't shoot heroin yet. And I was really upset about the possibility of never being able to do that. So I was okay with trying the AA thing, but just please let me do the thing, so God forbid I don't have a chance to connect with people. I need to be able to connect with everyone when they say, I shot, da-da, and be able to say, me too. I don't want to be left out. And that's like right there just proof of alcoholism, because you know what? I have family members who don't think about that. They don't think that they want to shoot heroin just to be able to connect with someone. And then I tried to get magic mushrooms in the early beginning of my recovery also. And then I smoked a joint when I had 60 days. I had stopped smoking joint by the time I was in 11th grade because I was a little dope dealer. So you know, I had smoked weed like 9, 10, I don't know how old, and I was chronic, nonstop. I could not have a joint or a pipe or something. So by the time I got to 11th grade, I couldn't stand it. I hated looking for shit that was in my hand for like 2 hours. And you know what? It just slowed me down. I didn't like the idea of how it would keep me incapacitated. And even to this day is like, you know, the only reason I haven't gone to the loony bin yet is because I can't stand the idea that someone would say, sit down, do this, take this thing, sit over here, go over here, come over here. And so I lost my goddamn, Amanda, what was I saying? Right, okay. Amanda's my sister in arms, and I can barely look at her because I'll start crying just from the shit that we've been through together. It's a miracle that we're alive. And if you're new and you're confused about who to link up with, you know, look for the person who comes at you with warmth. Look for the person who doesn't really want to fix you. Look for the person who doesn't say magic words to your, you know, like a potion to your illness, that doesn't try to quote things in a way that's way past your capacity for understanding. Look for a person who just sits beside you and keeps you warm just because part of your shoulder touches. Look for a person who, by example, is functioning and coping in the world, even if every now and again they have to break a broom or throw some dishes, but they're coping. And I found out different levels of coping when I was new. You know, I had some unique things that I had to do, and what it always came down to was, am I drinking today? And my sponsor would say, you know, look, baby, you may have to do this in order to not drink today. The thing that I was trying not to do, like breaking dishes and shit, my sponsor would just say, you know, you may need to break some dishes today in order not to drink. And that's that. And then, you know, for me with the loony bin, like there was a chance I had to get locked up, and she said, you may be a person who has to be locked up in recovery. But if you want to stay sober, I will bring my sober friends and I will bring your sober friends, and we'll have meetings in that loony bin until you get out. That comforted me greatly. So when I was new, when I came in, they told me that I had to go to 90 meetings in 90 days, so I went to at least 120. They told me that I had to get, at every meeting I went to, I had to get the number of an old-timer and a newcomer. And I was to call a newcomer every single day, and I was to call an old-timer at least once a week. I didn't understand the reason for that, but I understand now that I was building muscles. I was building muscles of recovery. I was building habit. I had the habit of shutting down, of isolating, of cutting off. I had the habit of really, really disliking people. I had the habit of trying to solve shit all on my own. I had the habit of using all kinds of things, dope, people, buildings, screws, nuts, sex, anything to just not feel. And so I came into AA, and then all of a sudden it's like, and I stand around without doing anything. I am going to naturally go back to what is familiar. Stood at the turning point, stood at the turning point. The turning point is that I'm in front of a new behavior, I'm in front of a new choice, and I can decide I will go forward not knowing the outcome, without the comfort of the answer, or I will turn around and go back to what is familiar. I will go back to habit. I thought this girl was waving at me. I was like, I get distracted by shiny and pretty and movement and all kinds of shit. I'm a front row disease kind of person. I have to sit in the front row because, I mean, God forbid anything kind of cute is sitting in front of me. I will not fucking hear a word. I will not think about anything about some shit I shouldn't be thinking about in an AA meeting. And then I gotta pray, and I gotta do all kinds of other stuff. So then I'm distracted because not only am I not hearing the speaker, but I'm thinking about what I shouldn't be thinking about. And then I'm thinking about how horrible it is that I'm thinking about what I'm thinking about. And it's a lot of work, and it's exhausting. I'm so, people see me, and I'm like, most of my life is like, I'm so exhausted because it takes so much work for me to just act right. It takes so many prayers every single morning for me to just come out and be like, hello, how are you, and what do you need? Like, I'm a person who has to say 7 prayers every day. That's just to get up and have a little bit of act right in my mind, just to have a little bit of maybe the day will be good, maybe it'll be hopeful, maybe there'll be a point and a purpose for my existence. It's not even that I get up and I'm like, woo! It's just that I wake up with a little teeny bit of, I will face whatever comes down. Come what may, I will face this day. That's it. It's not even rah, 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 shish gamba. And Amanda saw me, this morning, and I was just like, oh. And I just think, that, like, I don't know where one of the things that's really important for my recovery is that the things that ail me may not go. And what I have come to peace with is that my shit is my shit, and this concept of like it'll go and I'll be free one day, I don't know about that. I don't know what free is, and I don't know what anyone else's definition of that is. I don't know if anyone's free, and I don't care anymore. The only thing I wish for is the ability to remove the shit that blocks me from being available to another person. Whether I get what I want or not is not the issue. Whether I'm loved for doing it or applauded for doing it is not the issue. Just please, dear God, remove me from the self-obsession and the self-centered thinking that keeps me from standing at the door of another person who's about to fucking crumble and break. And all they need is for someone to stand beside them. And all they need is an example of possibility, the possibility that you can stay sober with or without discomfort. You can stay sober in horrendous, hateful, brutal, vengeful, in a fury and a rage and a disgust for your own self. You can stay sober. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here to say and show you anything other than, like, you know what? The 12 steps have allowed me to not drink or use no matter what. They haven't given me a hymn, because nobody said anything about a hymn. They didn't say anything, there's not one word about a hymn in chapter 5. Nothing. There's nothing about houses and cars. There's no shit about that. There's nothing about dreams and nothing. They don't say anything. The 12 steps, breaking them down, when we get to the end, which I love the 12 steps are in past tense, when we get to the end, it's like what? Not even so I get what I want. It's so that I may stay sober to help another alcoholic. All the things that I do, for every chair that I folded, for every time I stood at the door and shook people's hands. We ran into this dude at a business thing yesterday. We walk in, I saw someone I knew, and then the guy that was with him looked familiar, but I couldn't recognize him. He leaned on the door and said, welcome. I was like, oh yeah, I know you, and that's his name. Like, that's what we call him, welcome. It's just like, that was me. And when I was brand new, they told me, some girl asked me to sponsor her, and I think I had like 4 months. I didn't know what to do. Clearly, there's no way in hell I knew what to do. I was barely afloat. And I went running to my sponsor, and I was like, what do I do? This girl asked me to sponsor, and she's like, you say yes. And I was like, what am I going to do with her? And she said, you just stay one step ahead of her, baby. Just stay one step ahead of her. And that's how I've worked all of my recovery, is that I don't have to know some advanced shit. If I don't know it, I call someone who does. I don't pretend, and I don't ever deal with someone when they have a situation that I don't have experience in. I connect them with people who have experience in that area. When I got to my 11th step, I didn't know much about meditation. I had a fury in my head, and it always went, it always went, it always went. And when I got to the 11th step, it didn't matter how many times I faced east at 5:30 in the morning and said, Omni, Madi, 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 whatever the fuck. It didn't matter. My head was spinning, and I was a danger to myself and other human beings. I did not know what to do. I couldn't even fathom what the hell the 11th step meant. So what did I do? I started a meeting in my house. And I would shepherd it. I would sit and I'd say the meditation. I didn't even know what I was doing. And we'd all sit and I'd guide. Okay, wait a minute. Amanda and I have to thank the dudes in the truck. On our way here, we went to go get to Starbucks, and when we're driving back, there's a car filled of guys that pull up on the side of us, and they are singing at the top of their lungs, I've been waiting for this moment all of my life. And I'm telling you, when I tell you they were singing, I'm so happy that you're a witness and they're here, because people think I make shit up because I have the gift of hyperbole. But I am telling you, they were singing at the top of their lungs. And her and I were like, holy fuck, I mean, it was so cool. And they're bobbing and rolling and the music blasting, and then we keep going. We're at a stoplight. Then they're there and they pick up the song and keep going again. And then we keep going, and then they're on the left side, and they keep going again. Sure enough, they turn. I'm like, oh my God, how funny would it be if they're going to the meeting? We turn, come through the park, we see them coming in. I cannot tell you how grateful I am for that moment. I will call upon that for many a year. We will look at that in certain moments, and the shit will go down, and we will just be like, boom. And how do you know? The one guy said, you're the speaker. I said, yeah. He goes, oh no. Okay, so most of you know my story, I feel like, so it's really redundant. My mother is mixed with 100,000 things. My father's Irish Catholic, straight back, and my father was very violent, and he did the best he could, but he had very sharp reflexes, and if you looked at him the wrong way on the wrong day, he would just knock your head. And it was nothing to me. The only thing I wanted when I was really, really young was to be able to look him straight in the eye, at my little fucking height, to just look him straight in the eye when he'd beat the shit out of me without flinching or moving. And I mastered the art of not feeling and not showing emotion. I learned at a very, 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 very young age that to love and to have a soft heart meant death. My mother loved my father so much. And what I saw happen to my mother, I, as a young child, linked to love, and I thought, I don't want that. My mother went crazy, like certifiable. She walked out of our house, and she was locked up, and she was gone for a year, and she didn't come back, and we didn't know if she was alive or dead. My sister and I used to go to grocery stores and eat Cadbury chocolate bars, and we were 9, 10, and 11, walking 2 miles back and forth to a grocery store for a year. And I just thought, no, not for me. And I made a very conscious decision that nobody comes out, nobody comes in, and nobody gets hurt. And now, with 14 and a half years of recovery, I am telling you that if I don't undo that pack, it will be the death of me. One of the most challenging things for me in my recovery now is that everything that kept me alive, I must undo. Every single thing that protected me. The thing about booze and people spitting and shitting on booze is like, what, are you kidding me? If I wasn't drunk, I don't know how I would have coped. I don't know how I would have gotten through. Now, the way and the length that I went and how I would go on 5-day runs and people would just have a couple of sips, that's different. That I was freebasing. Louis, where's Louis? That I was freebasing. Not to mention, did anyone think about drugs when dude lit the cake with that high-pro fucking lighter? Danger, Will Robinson. Can't bring gear like that to an AA meeting. Like, what the hell? I was like a little dope dealer when I was a kid, and I was a damn good dope dealer. I had in my sights just a few things, and being like the baddest, just getting it done was my thing. I loved it. I loved robbing people. I loved like hooking people in. I loved the whole dance of like, I'll give you this much. No, I'll give you this much. No, I'll fucking give you nothing. And I loved all of it. I loved being needed and wanted. I loved being hunted and sought after. I loved when I'd come show up at school or after school in the courts that like 20 people would come rushing to me. Like that was my idea of, whatever mild attention I could get. I liked that. I liked that people would come flocking to me kind of semi-bent. I still like it now. Okay. So, booze is not my thing right now. You know what I mean? I don't really, 14 and a half years, the whole thing about booze in a glass is not my problem, except actually the other night when Ashley, Noel, and I were at a little place having a beautiful meal. It was a lovely meal, wasn't it? I don't know where Ashley is, but it was nice. It was civilized. No problems. We asked for afterwards I asked for espresso with whipped cream. Now, you could go to your local Starbucks and ask for the exact same thing, and they'll say, oh, you want a campana? They'll know. It has a name. It's cute. It's pretty. It's delicious. But the server who was serving us had to, put me through some kind of shit like I was from Mars asking for this. And then she repeated how many times? We have to make it. We have to make it. We have to make it. You mean like the rest of the shit you brought to us from the kitchen? Like, what the hell? finally she brings it over and she hands it to me. I whip it up, I mix up the whipped cream into the espresso. Now, please, don't judge me afterwards, because you would have done the same thing. I mix it, I sip it. Now, I don't know what's funnier, is that Ashley, within 2.2 seconds, knew there was booze in it, or that, that he says, "There's booze in this, Noelle, taste it." And then Noelle, and well, that's what's happening. Then I get up, I'm like, no. I can't possibly believe, like, what the fuck would, I couldn't even, it was like, no, and I'm thinking, no, like, everybody's nervous, chill out, no. So I taste it again, I was like, oh my God. Then I walk over and I give it to someone, a woman I know, and she's like, "This Grand Marnier in this." So I had to sit down on the bench. They found me, I was sitting on the bench, I did my old little AA thing, grip an object that doesn't move, that's inanimate, and count to 10. I couldn't believe it, because I was thinking, how do you put booze in a cup of espresso with a decaf espresso, not even a charged one? And so she comes over and she's like, "Yeah, there's rum in it. There's rum in the whipped cream." So who puts rum in whipped cream? I didn't ask for a tiramisu. It was like, what the fuck are you putting rum? Who puts rum in whipped cream? And who doesn't say that? Who doesn't announce that there'll be some booze in your shit, in your little teeny little fluffy drink? And so, not to mention, we didn't order any alcohol all night, so I don't think we looked like we wanted alcohol. And so, afterwards, he says, he's so disturbed, he says, "I want to call not to blow out his time, but he's in a very cautious time of appropriately taking care. So he says, he's really like whining, like, I don't know, I drink the booze, I want to call my sponsor. I need to call my sponsor and tell him what happened. But Ashley's his sponsor." So Ashley gave him. So then I decide, while we're sitting there, I realized that my response when I got that drink, I let loose the first sip, a note that was something like Jesse Norman opera mixed with Etta James. I released this note in the lobby of this place. I'm not joking. I was like, whoa! I had no idea what was in it, but I was home.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think.
I was home. It was free and safe, and something was right about it. Something was just bang on about it. And you know what? So in truth, he may have saved my life by tasting it, which he didn't even want. I kept saying, "It's so good, taste this." Okay, so other than that experience that just happened a week ago, fluid in a glass is not my problem. Alcohol is genuinely not my problem. My thinking is my problem. My thinking today. When I had to recently go back through the steps again, and I had to find out what they meant to me. When I was brand new, I was invited to define every single word in every step as I worked it. Not the chapter, just the step. And then I was invited to read the 12 and 12, each step in conjunction with that step. And I was invited to read the big book in conjunction with that step. And that's how I went through all of them. I did that so many times, but still I came upon 14 and a half years, and those words were just like blah, 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 blah. I couldn't even lock them down. The other thing that I really want to share with you is when I was new, they told me to go to a big book meeting, a 12 and 12 meeting, and then a stag meeting, whatever you are. And I could blend the stag and the big book, or the 12 and 12 and the stag, whatever the hell. And I had to go to those every week. And if I didn't do those the way that I did them, I went to my big book study for at least 4 years, and I went to that 12 and 12 for what, like 7 years? I did not play around, and all that shit is in my makeup now when weird things come up. And I have an understanding and a personal experience with the steps that I wouldn't have had if I just kind of pissed about and stayed in large meetings, and I probably wouldn't have the kind of relationship and understanding that I have when a newcomer woman walks in and 40 dudes flock to her. I would maybe not even notice or care. But because I was raised up in women's meetings, the way I care about women when they come through the room is with my whole soul. And if you're new and you have any kind of curiosity about how to work the steps and you're confused or isolated or you're just going under and you don't even know if you're going to make it through the night, you come see me after the meeting. You don't really have to say anything. You could just walk up to me and stare at me. You don't have to say a word. It's a code. I know what that means. I know what it means when you walk up to someone and you can't speak a fucking word and your eyes are filled with tears and you don't want to cry because you have too much pride. And you just stand there waiting for them to say something because that's the most that can happen, and that's all. And if they don't say anything, you have no idea what will happen next. I'm that person. You can come to me. If you see me in the grocery store, if you see me at the movie theater, if you see me in a meeting, you may come up to me. And please feel safe that whatever is exchanged is just AA. It's not even special. I'm not great. I'm not good. I'm not even spiritually evolved. It's what was done for me. It's my duty. It's my fucking responsibility. No one said anything about I can come in and get all my shit and all my things, whatever I wish for, and I can find resolve and peace in my heart and then go take off. It is my duty and my responsibility to sit in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous without any intention to be entertained or to get anything, but to sit in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous with one intention, to be present for a newcomer, to be an example for a newcomer, to give to a newcomer, and to keep on the chain, to carry the legacy, not of insanity, but of experience, strength, and hope. I had to go through the steps one more time in the last year, and I had to break them down for myself. And what I found out was really shocking. What I found out was that I hadn't really had my own personal understanding, and I understood because people around 14 and 17 were starting to go drink, and everyone was looking at me like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then the old timers were grabbing me and looking at me with this weird specific way of like, are you okay? In the same way when I was new, and I was like, what do you know that I don't know, and what's gonna happen, and why are you scaring me? And I realized that with 14 years, I had to recommit to my program as if I was brand new. I had to pretend that I had never been to a meeting for every single meeting I went to. I put myself back on 90 and 90. I went through the steps again, and I didn't need my sponsor to tell me. I knew that my shit was off, and I knew that I was a little bit comfortable. And not comfortable in a way that, you know, I was without any ache, but comfortable in that I didn't really even feel like going to that meeting tonight. I don't really feel like calling that person back right now. I don't really feel like picking up the phone right now. I don't really feel like having a commitment today. I've had a commitment since I was 30 days. I've sponsored someone since the 4 months. I went through a phase where I was genuinely like, I'm not sponsoring another person. I want a break. I deserve some time off. I mean, really, what is this? And you know, I always try to keep 6 sponsees, and then there are people who call me who I don't even know. I don't know their face, and if you're in this room and you call me and I walk past you, please don't take it personal. Feel free to walk up to me and say, I'm the one that's such and such. But people call me from all over the place. They hear stuff, I don't know, people give my number, and I'm so happy that they do, and please keep calling, and please keep giving my number out to women. But I have to keep at least 6 sponsees, not because it's great or smart or someone told me to, but because my shit spins like that. If I don't have at least 6 people calling me on the regular with some kind of something about their own life that takes me out of mine, I just spin and spin and spin in my own self-obsession. I get caught up in everything about what I want and what I'm not getting. And so I was like, I'm done, I'm sick of this shit, and I'm sick of people calling me, and I'm sick of da-da-da-da-da-da. And you know, one by one, every one of those girls actually went out and drank. Or they moved and then they drank. I had a sponsee who I love, who Amanda knows. This girl who I fucking love. It makes no sense that I love her. It makes no sense that the moment that I met her outside of a meeting and she walked up to me and she couldn't move and couldn't take another step, and I said, okay, fine, let's sit here. And we sat on the floor right outside of the meeting at the sidewalk on Moore Park and sat there for 2 hours because she didn't know where to go and what to do and what would happen next, and she didn't know if she could stay sober or not. So we just sat there, and I had somewhere to be, and I had no way of letting the people know where I was going, that I wasn't coming. The only thing that was important at that moment was that girl, and I sat down and we stayed there, and from that point forward, I can't explain to you. It doesn't make any kind of sense whatsoever why I cared about that girl who I don't know. I don't know her from a hole in the wall. And we worked together for a year, and she was jamming. She did the steps. She had commitments. She had sponsees. She did everything, and she was rolling, and she was awake, and the light came on. And then her mother died by fluke on the road in the car, just boom, dropped dead. And it broke her. It broke her. And she went and drank. And the reason that I tell you that is because It is possible if you lose a primary caregiver. I am an example that you don't have to drink or use. I'm not an example of much outside of AA, I'm really not. But as far as not drinking, if you're in the face of something so heinous and so horrible that you can't bear, I am an example, if nothing else, that you can stay sober no matter what. That you can get through the night, you can make it to bedtime without any dope, without any booze, without any other kind of shit, or any other passive way of maybe committing suicide, making choices that, you know, almost take you out because you don't have the strength to do it yourself. When I went through the steps again, I just looked at them, and it was like I started to examine. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol. Our lives had become unmanageable. What the hell is powerless and what is alcohol? I don't know what alcohol is to this day because I'm not drinking. That's not my thing. When I had 2 hours, let alone 2 months or 14 years, the actual alcohol was no longer the thing. So what was alcohol to me? What is alcohol to me right now? Alcohol is something that lives in my mind. It's the way that I think. It's the way that I go about the world when I'm in here and you're all out here and I got my own shit going. That's what alcohol is for me. It's my mind, it's my thoughts. I'm powerless over my thoughts. My life has become unmanageable. My life is what? I don't know what my life means. What the hell does that mean, my life? My life is my action. It's the way I behave. And I'm telling you, on any given day, I am so not manageable. I cannot manage my behavior. And then I looked at this, and I went and I realized, okay, came to believe a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. So I guess behind step 1 in invisible parentheses, it says that I'm fucking insane. Clearly, came to believe a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. So I'm insane. What's insanity? Insanity is powerless over alcohol, my thoughts, and not being able to control my actions or being able to manage my actions. So made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of a God of my understanding. Made a decision, not like made a hope, made a thought, maybe made a date, made a decision to turn my will, my thoughts, and my life, my actions over to the power greater than that I understand. And then I went down, and the 4th step I did straight out of the book. I did it straight down, all the names, just one column. Why? Because to jump around for some reason is something somebody said I shouldn't do. Maybe it had something to do with emotions that would come up over here, and I wasn't ready for. I did it straight out of the book, all the names down. Then I was also a person who had like 4 names on my first, 4 names on my first 4th step, and I showed up at 3rd and Gardner with the little one sheet of notebook in my back pocket. And my sponsor's like, did you do your 4th step? Yup. Where is it? Right here. Let me see it. I pull it out. She was like, are you kidding me? I was like, what? I worked really hard on that. I didn't understand. And she said, is your mother on there? I was like, no, why? Is your father in there? No, I didn't get it at all. And then I had the same thing that many people then end up going through is I then went home and opened the door in the chamber. And then it went through, and I couldn't buy a notebook big enough for all the shit that I was storing. And then I went down all the 4th columns. And in the 4th column that's really important is that I wrote down for everything I ever said, I had to write down I was afraid, I was self-centered, I was self-seeking, I was dishonest. Not just that I such and such to this person. It was I was dishonest, I such and such. I was afraid, I such and such. I was self-centered, I such and such. So that I could own my own behavior. And then it just keeps going. The 5th step, which I love, and they say, you know, you haven't done a 4th step until you've heard another 5th step. And the 5th step is obvious. And I went home that night and I sat down in my house and I sat in the bathtub like my sponsor told me to do and straight out of the big book. And I sat in the bathtub and I asked every question that it said in the book. It's right there. Everything. If you're confused at all what to do, it's right there. There's no mystery. And then I go down to the 6th and the 7th. And the 7th I wrote on a piece of paper. I wrote down all my defects of character. I put them on a mirror. I called my sponsor every single day for 7 days straight. We together sat on our knees, the 7-step prayer. And then I would read that list. And I read that list so that I could become familiar with my character defects, so that it wasn't just this mysterious behavior that I had that I couldn't identify. I could then go out in the world, and when I'd see some shit come up, it was like, oh my God, that's vengeance. Oh my God, and I would just keep going. And then the 8th and the 9th, clearly, they say exactly what they are. And the 8th is so beautiful, is like it's just willing. It's just willing. And when I arrived, after I did all the steps, and if you're freaking out and you're nervous about all this stuff, it's like, you know what? You get there by how you get there. You don't get to 8 by going from 1. You get there from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you get to 8, and then you get to 9. 9 is crucial in Life Strong. It is everything. It's everything about freedom and clarity. And what I owe wasn't mine to take in the first place. So giving it back is just replacing. It's just replacing what I took from you, whether it was your self-worth, whether it was trust, whether it was compassion. It wasn't just about money and returning money. I lied and treated people with such horrendous nastiness that I fucked with their ability to feel safe and trust, because they knew something by their own instinct, and I would say, no, 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 no. And then they'd go out past me to some other person and feel like, well, that one time I thought it, and now, and they don't know, and I've had that myself. And then 10, I did every single day and still have to. And straight out of the book, and page 86 will help you if you're confused. 11, I told you that I started initially with a meeting at my house. And then 12, which I love, 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 is having had. Having had. Not like maybe gonna have, it's having had as a result of these steps. Not as a result of grocery shopping, not as a result of buying a bunch of shit, not a result of like sleeping around with a whole bunch of people, not a result of kind of walking through and kind of helping and kind of showing up. As a result of these 12 steps, I'm one of the cornball people who loves AA. And it's really tricky at a big meeting like this to be kind of personal and then also be, general. We share in a general way. And, I don't know much about what you need. I don't have the answer for you. People call me like, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? I don't know. You may need to go drink again to gather more information to feel confident that you are an alcoholic. And so for me to tell you, don't drink, don't do it, please don't. I may rob you of whatever information that you need, so when you walk in and you sit in your seat, you're like, I fucking belong here. Do not ask me to move. Don't tell me I can't come here. Don't ask me to change. Don't ask me to alter anything about the way that I walk right at this moment. And the only way that I've ever built any kind of worth is through that belief. Is, all the things that I used to feel, all the shit that I did in my life to people, all the using and the taking. I never cared about people. I never cared about another person, how they felt that stood in front of me, ever. It never occurred to me that you had your own feelings, that when we would stand and entered each other's space, that you were having an experience too. You were there to serve me, and that was it. And if you didn't have what I wanted, then I would turn and walk away and find the person who did. It never occurred to me that you may be coming from a funeral today. It never occurred to me that you may have buried a child. It never occurred to me that your brother or sibling is so fucked up that you don't know if they're going to be alive or dead, and every time the phone rings, your heart shakes because you don't know if they're going to tell you that this person that you love so much is dead. I believe in my heart of hearts that I am an alcoholic, and I tried so many things. I tried Gurumukh, Gurumanda, Gurunana. I tried all kinds of shit. I mean, I tried St. Patrick's Cathedral and those little candles, and then they changed the candles to the light switch, which really fucks me up. That's just fucked up. You should light the candle. That is so wrong. And then, I tried Thich Nhat Hanh. I tried John Paul Sartre. I tried everything. And for me, it was impossible except for when and only and until I came into Alcoholics Anonymous and I listened. And I came in without this soft shit that goes down now. And every girl that comes and calls me knows, like, I'm not the person to call if you want to be handheld at all. If you want to stand across from someone which was given to me, like I had people who looked at me and they'd say shit that was really not nice. And I'd look at them and be like, you could kind of candy coat that. And they would say, why would I do that to you? Why would I treat you less than as strong as you are? Why would I treat you like a weakling? Why would I do that? And it made such bizarre sense to me that someone being honest could actually, that shit freaked me out, Jeff. I was like, no fucking cameras in AA. I'm just taking a picture. Okay. Not that I, whatever, but it just freaked me out. Okay, so, see, shiny shit. There's some simple things, like if you ever hear someone who says, I don't know how I did it, don't ask them for help. If you get up and if you see people who show up, including Jeff, and thank you for really, because you're a person who I've seen since the moment that I got sober, who is always visible, who is always active in the 12 steps, always, I linked myself up with people who seem to be coping, and I don't have any answers to certain things that are going to come up life-wise. I don't know. Like when my mother was being wheeled down a cart, being wheeled down a hospital, corridor, about to get her breast lopped off, and she was looking at me for something valuable to say. I didn't know what to say. When I showed up at my father's funeral, and I didn't even know, I mean, you know, it was unexpected that he would die, so I'm standing there, and we're at the funeral, and I didn't know what to do, and I wanted to crumble, and I wanted to die, and I just wanted my fucking father back. That was it. I just felt like, oh my God, and it was so bizarre and so fast, and there was no timing, and there were no tools, and there was nothing. And I just looked at people coming through the door, and I could see, because of AA only, I could see, oh my God, that person's aching. Oh my God, that person's having a feeling too. So what did I do? I did what I learned in AA. I went and I stood at the door and I stuck my hand out and I said, welcome to every single person that came through to my father's funeral. And shit like that is what transformed me. It's not because I sat in a corner waiting for people to come fix me and make me better because I'm the one that's aching the most. It's because I would step out of myself through the tools of Alcoholics Anonymous and I would notice that other people are in the planet. And that my experience is not the one that matters. And I have difficulty on a day-to-day basis with how to just get up and tie my shoes. And I'm not joking. There are moments where it doesn't even make sense that I don't have a drink. It doesn't make sense that I don't get to drink. It doesn't add up. And what I do is I wake up and I call people. Sometimes I have to make 42 phone calls in a row. Sometimes I have to stay on the floor, doubled over, heaving from the bottom of my belly, just for the thing to pass, so that I don't get out and go do something just to stop myself from feeling. If you're new and you're not sure you're going to make it through the night, and you don't know if you're an alcoholic or not, but you know that something's off, and you need something to change, and you're sick of how you've been living, I invite you to work the 12 steps in the same exact way that you used. And if you bulldoze people to get what you want, then do it in here. Remain active instead of passive. Do everything that you have to find out whether or not you belong here. And if you get confused, look for the people who are sitting up front. Look for the people who don't walk with their shoulders slumped and their head down past a certain amount of time in recovery. Look for the people who bounce and lighten their step, even though they're fucking dying inside. I am so grateful for Alcoholics Anonymous. Thank you for asking me to come out.
I think we got a great talk going on here. Thanks for watching the channel. Taper Dave here. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with, and it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs, long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. Shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.